The world needs Lambda Chi Alpha, and the vision, the values, the teachings of Lambda Chi Alpha now more than ever. I was inspired by you over the last 3 days. Much is expected of you. You are our future. And tonight, I would like to close the 60th General Assembly by describing for you the future I believe we are destined to build together. I want us to think about what we can do and who we can be. But before we talk about tomorrow, I have to share with you a question that still eats away at me. It's a question that I have tried to answer for the entirety of my life. And it's a question that's important for me to share, but it's a question each and every one of the people in this room has to answer. And we collectively, as a body, have to answer. And that is, what does it take to be good? My entire life, I've wanted to be good. And when I was a little boy, I thought I knew exactly what a good man looked like. Like most people in Gen X, I was raised by the television. And night after night, I got to see image after image of good men doing the right thing. Whether it be the sheriff, that was my favorite, that stood alone to protect the town, or the lawyer that risked his life to stand for civil rights, or the teacher that gave away riches to invest in the next generation. I got to see good. When I was little, I did not know much, but I knew I wanted to be a good man someday. I just didn't know how. And by the time I got to college, my life had been pretty filled with trouble, most of my own making. I didn't have any discipline. I didn't have any self-control. I didn't have any guidance whatsoever. I needed somebody to reach into my life and say, I love you. I'm going to fight for you. I am going to teach you how to live. I needed new heroes. I needed real heroes, not on TV, but in my life. And I got to find those heroes in Lambda Chi Alpha. When I was a college student, my brothers, who were my age, they rebuilt me from the ground up. They taught me how to hope. They taught me how to build something. They taught me how to fall down, get back up, and blame nobody but myself. And eventually, they taught me how to forgive. Now, I think I was on my way to becoming a pretty good man when I graduated college and walked out into the real world. But I soon found out that I was not ready. The further I drifted away from Lambda Chi Alpha, the easier it became to trade away all the treasure that I had received for a cheap counterfeit imitation, for a belief system that led to nowhere. You see, the hardest thing, brothers, that you will ever have to overcome is your past. By the time I was 13 years old, I decided nobody would ever hurt me again, and that to be safe, I had to be powerful, and to be powerful, I had to be wealthy, and to be wealthy, I had to achieve. So I would achieve no matter the cost, no matter the circumstance, I would win. And with this code for living, I set out to build a life. And the problem is, it worked. It worked spectacularly until it didn't. By the time I was 40 years old, I had accomplished everything that I thought I ever needed to be happy. I had a dream job, I had a dream house, I had a dream view, had a car that was so fast I couldn't even drive it. I had everything. My life was swimming in power and possessions, and it was completely lacking in purpose. And then real life stepped in. We had a tragedy in our neighborhood. And I had to take a real hard look at the man I had become. There was an amazing kid that lived right next door. His name was Tim. He was 13. And he was diagnosed with this rare form of terminal cancer. And my entire life, I wanted to be a hero, but I did not know what to do with this family. And I remember coming out on my front porch. To my left was the Pacific Ocean, which represented everything that I thought I had earned for myself. It was my reward. And to my right was real life. There was an ambulance in front of my neighbor's house. There was a mom crying hysterically. There was her son being put in the back of the ambulance. Realization that things just weren't going to get better. Now, in that moment, I desperately wanted to do something to help. I wanted to run to that family. I wanted to put my arms around them. I wanted to love them. I wanted to do anything to make the pain go away. But I didn't know how. And I was afraid. And so I hid. I hid on my porch. And as that ambulance drove away, I realized that I had fallen into error and I had to change my life. I needed to save my life, and I needed to figure out how to engage with the world. So I called charity after charity, looking for somebody that would let me help. About a month later, I found myself at the Children's Hospital of Orange County for an orientation meeting, and at the end of the meeting, they asked me if I wanted to tour the pediatric oncology ward. I said no. They said, we're going anyway. As we walked down the hall, we stopped into every single room. And I saw what I expected. I saw scenes of sadness. I saw worried parents. I saw machines. But I saw these children with these huge smiles and these big, beautiful eyes. And they just wanted to talk. They just wanted to play. They just wanted to connect. And I got to the end of the hallway. I said to the nurse, with all these kids are fighting, how can they be smiling? And she said, oh, they're smiling because you're here. I said, I didn't do anything. All I did was show up. And she stopped. She turned around. She looked me right in the eye. And she said, oh, honey, don't you know? Don't you know how much good a man can do simply by showing up? Those words saved my life. Because from that day to this day, I have tried to show up a little bit more. And what I have found is that by finally living the values of Lambda Chi Alpha, life is more beautiful than I ever imagined. The more money I give away, the more it accumulates. The more time I volunteer, the better my time is spent. And the more I open my heart and I risk it being hurt, the more love floods in. Yesterday morning, I realized that I know the secret of life. I know how to be happy. It's hidden in plain sight, and everything we do is Lambda Chi's. I was supposed to learn this lesson 35 years ago. I wasn't ready, but I'm ready now. And the lesson is this: the sum value of our lives is not what we accomplish. Our worth is not what we build up and store away for ourselves. That way only leads to misery. The secret is we are what we choose to freely give away. We are what we choose to freely give away. And if you want to know the most powerful component of self-transformation, if you want to know what it takes to become a good man, it takes the act of giving. When we give a little piece of who we are to somebody else, the person we become, the person we are, we become the person we were meant to be. We learn how to take faith and hope and put it into love and action. We get to make somebody else's life better while we become better in the process. I think the act of giving is absolutely magic. And if you take the values of Lambda Chi Alpha to heart, this feeling can be yours forever. I have come to translate for myself that the mission of Lambda Chi Alpha is to inspire good men to show up and to teach them how to give themselves away so they can live lives of meaning and purpose and consequence. This is what it is meant to be a brother in the bond. And if we're gonna accomplish this mission, then the good men, we have to mobilize. The world's not going to solve our problems for us. We have to solve our problems for ourselves. We have to continue to build the greatest service, learning, leadership incubator in the world. We have to each decide that we're going to get our hands dirty in our local communities, and we must happily show each other and other men the way. Men need heroes now more than ever. Men need me. Men need you. Men need men. Men need men. We need tribe. We need family. We need community. And if we're going to accomplish this mission, then we have to think outside the walls of 4 years. We must increase our scope. We must become the organization that takes care of his brother for a lifetime, so that the journey of self-improvement never, ever has to end. We must become the organization that ensures that we stand with our brother through every walk of life. I've walked alone. It hurts. And I've walked with my brother, and it helps. We need community. We need fraternity. We can be so much. I want to tell you what I want us to be in 10 years. I want to tell you what I think what we can accomplish in the next decade. Tonight there's 500 men celebrating together. In a decade it's going to be 5,000. And those men are going to come together because Lambda Chi Alpha is the unparalleled expert in developing men of character. They're going to come together because we have created programs that help college-age men, that help new graduates, that help professionals, that help executives, that help retirees, that help husbands, fathers, and grandfathers become the best version of themselves. They're going to come because we've created social programs that help all of our brothers continue to find their place to belong, no matter their age, no matter their location, that we're one true intergenerational family. They're going to come because we've created the systems and the tools that we need to ensure that we hire each other, to make sure that we invest in each other, to make sure that we mentor each other for a lifetime. They're going to come because in our personal lives, in our family lives, in our community, Lambda Chi Alpha matters. Brothers, I know that this is the future that we can create together. Because of you, I think I can answer the question. After all these years, after all my mistakes, because of you, I know precisely what a good man looks like. He looks like the men in this room. He looks like us. And we have it within us to create any future we want to. My hope for us is we think big. My hope for us is that we dream big. My hope for us is that we expand the concept of what it is to be a Lambda Chi, what it is to live in Zeta Alpha Chi, and that we endeavor to build a world that is better tomorrow than it is today, and that we each decide that we're going to pick up our little piece of the shovel and do our part. This is what it means to be a Lambda Chi, and this is the future we can have if we're bold enough to build it. And I hope that we are. I pray that we are. And I believe in you, but this is your fraternity, and this is your future, and I need you to get to work. Can I get an amen? Amen. Thank you, brothers.